Good morning, everyone, and welcome to
the poster session. I am Giorgi from the Visualization Lab, and I am
about to present two interactive posters. Why interactive? Well, this year we wanted to somehow go beyond the traditional idea of posters as large sheets of paper hanging on a wall. And so we called for interactive posters that would be available online on dedicated web pages that the attendees can play with. Indeed, the posters are available indeed. You can play with them. You can easily find and locate them in your agenda on the web platform, and I kindly encourage you to do so. Now I will first show you two videos in which the authors will describe the project, the ideas behind their work, and they will give a demo of the application they have developed. Then there will be time for questions and answers. You can either place them on Zoom or on the dedicated UVA chat. I will collect them and ask the authors on your behalf. And the first video will be for the poster about invisible heritage, analysis and technology digital platform. And it will be presented by Kyriakos Toumbas from the Cyprus Institute. Please, Marco, you can play the video. Hi, Kyriakos. See you in 10 minutes.
Hello, everyone. In this session, I would like to present IHED, the Invisible Heritage Analysis and Technology Digital Platform. My name is Kyriakos Toumbas, and I'm a web developer at the Cyprus Institute. A few words about the project. The IHED project goal was to record and preserve a set of cultural heritage sites in the Rhodos region, more specifically a set of 10 churches that belong to the UNESCO World Heritage List. As part of that work, which was studying and analyzing the structures and the surroundings of those structures, was to record each site using 3D laser scanning and creating 3D models of each cultural site. Part of that project, after creating the models, was to disseminate those results to the general public through various stakeholders. In order to do that, we had to create a web platform to publish those results to the general audience. The idea behind the platform was that we wanted to serve the point clouds we're going to create during the analysis of the sites so that it could be used from relevant stakeholders, which wasn't just the researchers in our institution. We wanted public authorities, the archaeological department, other archaeologists or artists that are doing research or they're interested on those very important cultural sites in the region. We want to be able to see the models and interact with them. At the same time, we want to give them a set of tools to help them analyze and understand the cultural sites better. Finally, we wanted to create a way that non-technical people, people that don't understand 3D modeling and advanced 3D tools, to take advantage of all the above. We wanted an easy way for non-researchers to actually be able to see and interact with the results of our analysis. Now, some background information. Probably everyone here knows that to put a point cloud 3D model on the web, it's not an easy feature. Naturally, a point cloud 3D model is very huge, and you usually need specialized software to actually see it. An open source project called Potri comes to the rescue. That's not something we build, that's something we generously found online. Allows you to transform a LAS file into what it's been called the Potri project format. which then is a technology that can actually serve a point cloud over the web. Pod 3 has a comprehensive documentation online. It allows you to generate a Pod 3 model using a tool they provide, and then it gives instructions how to set up a local web server to actually see the model, ways to modify the output, which is usually an HTML file with JavaScript, how to add properties and add annotations, all of that using JavaScript, and then finally deploy that HTML model online so people can see it. The problem with that approach is that that's only half the way. After you get the model, you still need a solid understanding of web technologies to actually put that model somewhere publicly on the web. You need to set up a web server, you need to understand HTML, JavaScript. Also, every time you need a change, you need to go through the whole redeployment phase. It's very hard to maintain. We wanted to solve for that. We wanted to find a way for us to actually put the models online much easier. Here is where the iHat platform comes in. So what is iHat platform? iHat platform is a web application that you deploy once, it lives on the web, and by using that, it allows you to actually host your 3D models and serve them on the public web, along with a number of interactive tools, some of them from Pod 3, some of them developed specifically for this platform. It also allows you to configure your projects dynamically and instantly see the changes both in your machine and serve them to the general public. I'm going to proceed directly to a live demo of the platform to help you understand what this is all about. So let's start by creating a new visualization and see how things work. To start a new visualization, go to the iHat platform and you just go to the interactive ad visualization form. What this administration panel allows you to do is that you can define a name for your visualization and you can add a number of point clouds to your visualization. You can support more than one. You need at least one for the visualization to make sense. The only thing you need to provide here is pretty much a link to the output of the Pod 3 converter, along with a name, and then just hit save. And that instantly makes your visualization accessible on the World Wide Web. Additionally, from the 3D point model, we also developed certain other features like an image gallery, which here you can upload a number of images, along with adding georeferenced images that are images that you want to show inside the 3D plane. So let's see how that works. I'm going to show you an existing 3D model that is already populated. It's the Church of Stavroudou Yasmati. It's a church that is comprised from 3 different point clouds, 3 different 3D models. And we already uploaded a set of images that depict the church since 1940s, along with a few georeferenced photos. So let's see the actual 3D model. Here is what you get, the traditional Pod reviewer, along with the point cloud we just loaded. First, let's talk a bit about configuring this visualization. In traditional Pod 3 project, to configure visualization, you need to open the HTML file and pretty much add JavaScript to actually do a number of things like add visualizations or change settings. In the iHat platform, all of that has been done way much easier. You just need to open the model, modify things you need, and the only thing you need to do is just hit save using the administration save button here on the left, and the iHat platform is going to keep the settings of your model. So next time you reload, the model is going to be exactly like you configured it to be. That allows you to add measurements, add annotations, all of that very easily on a visualization, and then you save it and it's ready to showcase. Now, aside customizing your visualization, let's see some of the custom tools we developed for the iHat platform. One thing we wanted to show was we had multiple point clouds for the same cultural site. So we created the concept of an explosion. The explosion tool allows you to pretty much explode the dynamic, the interactive scene with the bar. Okay, you can configure this quite easily. You just need to define where each model moves when you move the bar, and it just changes how the explosion happens. It's very easy, and when you are done, you just hit save, and that's done. Now, the next tool we created was the gallery. You saw the images uploaded. Now, the amazing part of the gallery is that it allows you to orient each image with the model. So we get to actually see the image on top of the actual model and see how they correlate together. At the same time, there is a handle that allows you to switch between viewing the model and the image to actually help you visualize both at the same time. The orientation happens using your traditional pottery movement tools, and when you are done, you just save the orientation on the right, and the actual platform keeps it to view. Finally, I'll show you the Gpr images. These are georeferenced images that we wanted to add on the plane. They get added inside the 3D scene, and the only thing you need to do to actually add them is you add the image and you provide the coordinates, the actual coordinates, the GPS coordinates for the area the image represents. It allowed us to put images depicting the underground areas of the churches. That's about the project. I would like to add a note that this has been built as a development framework. It has been built on Django, Vue.js, 3.js, and Docker, and it is built to provide a set of JavaScript modules that somebody can easily extend to add more functionality, and we plan to add more features on the platform. There is already a ready-made build pipeline, and the platform has been configured to allow easy deployment using Docker. The whole project is open source, and you can find it on GitHub, and anyone interested can ping me for more details. Thank you very much for your time. See you on the questions.
Thank you. That was really nice. Are there any questions from the audience? Let me check on the platform and let me check here. I will ask one while the others think about their own questions. I just wanted to ask, how long does it take to prepare your dataset? I mean, you have shown this concept of explosions, of having multiple point clouds. How long does it take to order your data?
The actual generation of the point clouds was a tedious process. I mean, it took a few months with the number of visits on every site, especially, creating the 3D representation of hidden areas like, areas under the roof or behind columns required, moving a lot of things around so we can clear up the area for the lasers to actually do their scanning. So it was an ongoing process. I mean, after we actually created the models, we also had to clean them up from, noises that appeared on the scanning. Maybe some people would pass over or certain things that we couldn't capture. So there was a lot of manual work on cleaning up the different generated models, and then we had to combine those models, and along with photos that we took that we would actually use to create the colors, the RGBA, pretty much representation of the image, which the laser wouldn't capture. I'm not really sure, the aggregated time we took, because it was running for 2 years, the project, and we had to visit the area a number of times for other measurements as well. But it's something that indeed takes time.
I guess so. I can imagine. And let me check if there are other questions. Just out of curiosity, when I was playing with your interface, I asked myself, was your target mainly stakeholders in the field or non-technical people, the general public? I mean, the design choices behind your interface were meant for what kind of people?
So we tried to make the interface easy. I mean, the configuration interface, at least. We wanted to make it very easy so people that are working with 3D models, but they're not really in the area of web development or understanding all that nuances of code and modifying tools, could actually take their 3D model and somehow configure it to show it to the general public. So it was mostly for researchers. Now, the target group to consume the models, in a sense, was our main area was archaeologists. We have a close collaboration with our archaeological department in our country, and part of this work was to disseminate these cultural sites to the target audience of the archaeology department of Cyprus. And at the same time, there are a number of researchers working on these structures, so we wanted to give them a tool to actually, be able to do things that they would require them to be on the spot, like measure distances or understand certain features of the church, like different times it was built, which with the 3D model, you can actually get into enough detail to do that from your machine rather than having to visit the place.
And did you have any feedback from them already?
So we're launching, I mean, the project was wrapped up this month. So this is the time we're actually going to publish all the work. We couldn't do it before until the whole thing was finalized. But we're hoping that it's gonna be an important addition to the data we don't really have for researchers until now.
Keep us posted.
Definitely.
So if there are no questions here, you can place your question on the dedicated channel on the VUA platform even after the presentation, so you can discuss with our speaker also later on. And I guess we can pass on to the second course, which is interactive animation on directional derivatives and level curves, developed at the Technical University of Delft. I can see Vera there. So Marco, you can play the video. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to our presentation about interactive animations for directional derivatives and level curves. My name is Sayra, and I became part of the Prime team at TU Delft while doing my Master's in Computer Science. During this time, I laid the technical foundation of the interactive animations I will be showing you today. Currently, I'm pursuing my PhD on real-time systems at TU Eindhoven. Now I'll give you a short introduction on what an interactive animation is and why we use it. Our interactive animation is an animated video that can be interacted with while it's paused or playing. It's essentially a video and applet in one. This allows for visualizing complex topics in class that cannot be easily sketched or drawn in a dynamic and interactive manner. At home, students can discover and re-watch with the voiceover explanation. The reason for combining a video and applet is that a simple video would not allow for interactive usage in class. Likewise, an applet by itself would not provide students with sufficient guidance through the material at home. As this is something that hasn't been done often before, I'll give you a demo before diving into further details. That way you'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. Our series of interactive animations on directional derivatives consists of 4 parts, but I'll only show the first 2 due to time constraints. Let's start with the first part of our series, where we start from a simple function of 2 variables and explain how you can make a contour plot from that. This plot can be explored with camera controls. You can enter any function you like here, such as this one. Or you can reset it to the default one again. Now, I happen to like this function. Now we'll keep the function like this and leave it to the narrator to give further explanation.
The intersection of the graph with the horizontal plane consists of all points with the same value of the function. Projecting this curve back to the xy plane, we obtain a level curve. If we change the height of the horizontal plane, we get a new intersection for a different value of the function. Thus, we also get a new level curve.
Let me pause it again. A lot of additional elements have popped up in the view, and many of them are interactive. You can zoom in the 2D contour plot. You can drag the plane in 3D to adjust the level curve, or use the slider in the controls menu. You can also fix a contour line in the plot with this button and add more. And you can also clear them again. So far, the first part, in which we introduce level curves and introduce multiple views and interactions. Now, let's look at the second part. Here, we introduce the directional derivative, for which more plots are needed. That makes for a more complex view, and the narrator builds up to that. All these plots are interactive too. You can also interact during the animation. And to illustrate this, I'll turn off the sound, otherwise you can hear us babbling through each other. So I can zoom in during the animation, or I can drag P. And you can also skip through the timeline, and changes made will be kept. Except of course for elements that are animated in the meantime. For example, if I zoom in on this 2D plot, and then skip to another point in the timeline, the zoom remains the same. I of course highly encourage you to interact with this yourself. That's after all the most important part. And you can do this in our poster. Now you may wonder how this is integrated at university. I'll show you how this works in courses. Last year, of course, all our education has been online, so here is a screenshot from a class in which teachers use the tool to illustrate their lectures. They use the animation on pause so they can explain the material themselves. So that's how it's used in lectures. There are also homework exercises for students, which they solve by using the animation at home. The exercises are made by one of our lecturer representatives. We use the Graspel online tool for this. It enables us to ask questions about insight or calculating with the values. If you answer incorrectly, the Graspel system also gives you feedback. In short, we integrate this in lectures as well as homework. So far, this approach has been piloted in calculus for nanobiology students and aerospace students. We heard that students appreciated that the lecturer didn't have to make elaborate drawings in class, and that they could get back to the animations after the lecture. It was a positive first response. This academic year, we're using it in more courses, and we will also investigate if there is a contribution to learning outcomes. Finally, I'll shed some light on the technical aspects of our interactive animations. Our web-based application combines React, Three.js, and GSAP. We use React for a component-based UI, Three.js for easily creating graphics with WebGL, and GSAP for animating the components using tweens and timelines. The novelty of our approach is the way React and GSAP are integrated to provide a maintainable and easy-to-use way of building animated components. While there is some documentation on using React with GSAP, our approach differs in some specific ways to ensure that timelines and animated components are loosely coupled and as simple as possible. We do this by manipulating the component state in a particular way, which I'll explain by building this diagram step by step. We start with the React component that renders all elements required in the animation, such as the graphs and planes. Then, we set up a GSAP main timeline in this component. Each section in the animation has its own subtimeline, which are all children of the main timeline. A subtimeline can represent something like moving a plane or adding a contour line. The animation component also contains an object that stores the state for the subtimelines. These states represent the start state the animation ought to be in when the subtimeline begins. Such a start state can define things like camera position, function values, and whether some plots are displayed or not. A subtimeline has a set duration, a position on the main timeline, and a state label. The state label refers to the start state in the state list that is associated with this subtimeline. Adding these labels to the main timeline allows the user to skip through the timeline freely. This works as follows. The timeline and their respective states are passed to the I/O component. The I/O component handles user input and keeps the timeline and audio synchronized. When the user skips to a particular timestamp in the animation, this input component fetches the start state corresponding to the label associated with the timestamp and sets the start state. This ensures that the animation component is in the expected state at the start of each subtimeline. Each subtimeline also has one or more GSAP tweens added to it. We just saw how the start state is fetched when a timestamp is encountered. This start state also represents the beginning of a tween. A GSAP tween interpolates properties of its target object to ensure a smooth animation. Our target object is the state of the animation component, but React does not allow modifying the state directly. To circumvent this, we have introduced a second state for the tween targets, which we call animation state. The object animation state is used as tween target and contains the same values as the component state. But since it's not the actual state of the component, we can let GSAP directly modify animation state. Each update to animation state is then propagated to the component state each time the tween is updated. What's nice about this approach is that the elements rendered by the animation component are loosely coupled to the GSAP timeline. This means that removing the timeline leaves you with a normal applet, whereas applets can be turned into interactive animations by simply adding a timeline. This solution has worked well for us so far, and we're planning on using it with our next interactive animation, which will be about Lagrange multipliers. So that's it for the presentation. You can find the link to our portfolio on the slide. Feel free to contact us for more information. Thank you all for watching. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. I have to say, I enjoyed your interactive visualizations. I happen to be a mathematician, so I particularly enjoyed them. And are there any questions from the audience? Yeah, thank you for posting the link. No questions here, no questions on over. I just wanted to ask you, you were saying that you collected feedback from the students, right? And you had a positive feedback. Did you have any feedback or any advice from the teachers as well on how to improve your interactive visualization on different directions to follow?
We actually had, during the creation process, we had some feedback sessions already with a group of lecturers and a group of students, which really helped. Because, yeah. And then I think after they used it, they were mostly just very positive. They did say they would like sometimes a bit of extra help, because when you use it in class, you really have to prepare and pause the animation at the specific time. And sometimes lecturers just want to, copy from others and just know what's best. So we don't give them this. It does require some work for them as well. We haven't provided this because we think when they haven't really looked at this beforehand, they also may miss how to use it. So we're a bit scared to help them too much. So, but this is still something, not every lecturer is of course very at ease with new technologies. So this is always something to think about, and we never implore lecturers to use it. If they don't want to use it, they don't have to.
Yeah, that can be a barrier to the usage. And why targeting university students? Do you think that this idea, which is quite novel, you don't see it very, very often, you can think it can be applied to high school students or also smaller, younger people?
Definitely. But we're paid for the university students, so we haven't done it. But yeah, I think this is definitely would be very helpful.
I was asking because I wanted to try with my children, so I was curious to see their reactions. I think that can be a good way of helping people to like mathematics. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to hear.
There is a question on the chat. Is this open sourced, or are there any details on the development of it?
So we haven't fully open sourced it. It's not really ready for that. But I did write documentation and simple examples of how you can use this for ourselves, but also those are very much ready to be shared. They're not on a public repository, but if you send me an email, I can definitely share them with you. Our email address, shall I send it? Yeah. Type it in. I'll type it. We are very happy to share it then.
Okay, perfect. And Kyriakos is saying that is amazing, of course. I agree with him. No other questions on the platform? Yeah, a question from Marco.
Oh, hi. And I really enjoy the work. I was involved in a project also focused on university courses, and what we found extremely useful was the possibility of saving the state of your visualization and being able to share it with someone else, because you can use it to ask a question to the teacher. So you run through your timeline and you change the parameters, and you find something that it's not quite clear. You can save that state, send it back to the professor and ask, I see these and I'm not sure what it's about. And the same feature with some creativity, can you also use it as assignment and also as final exam, because you just tell the people, oh, find the place where the function does this, and you go in there, and your assignment is to send back this status that can be replayed later by the professor, for example. Have you thought about this kind of feature?
That sounds awesome. We haven't. It's an excellent idea. He immediately wrote it down. But in case we want to help the teachers too much, this would also be super useful. The only thing we currently have is that you can ask for a specific timestamp. But to have more of the state is very nice.
Can be used to take notes, and as a student, you use it you just save the state to remember it for the future. You can annotate it, and it's a powerful mechanism, and it's quite simple, because in the end, the state of such a visualization, it can be just a small line that can also be pasted in the browser address. So it's something easy, but it can be used in many different ways.
I totally agree. This is a great idea. The questions we ask right now to students are, plug in this formula, go to this point. So yeah, I think what you're saying is much better. Thanks a bunch.
There is another question from William. Have exam scores or homework scores improved after students use the software? Or does professor cover more advanced topics because students understand simpler concepts faster?
So on the first question, I don't know is the answer. I don't know if the results are better, because there's so much has changed because of COVID that it's really hard to know. And also there's some, we are not allowed to do A/B testing where they find it, what's it called? Unethical? Yes, they find it's the ethical committee doesn't like us to test with one group of students where they use it and one group where they don't, because then we are actually providing better education to one group. So we are having a bit of a struggle with that, and that's why we're doing some more testing with volunteers later on this year. So if it improves grades, I don't know. So they prefer no one. No, they want to use for everyone or not. That's basically what they tell us. Yeah, I'm a bit sad about that, but that means that we are going to test it later on in a really a study setup and not in class.
Not even in different classes. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be fair.
So yeah, if we do
in
different
half a class
classes, yeah, then. So my researchers, we have a research department in our group, and they tell me that it's not as useful because there's so much influence by the lecturer and by which group of students. For example, aerospace engineering students are often much more advanced in their mathematics background than the civil engineering students. Sorry, I really like the civil engineering guys too, but this is just true. So yeah, it's really something we're struggling with to really prove that it works. We haven't been able to do so this far, but we are still trying. And then, does the professor cover more advanced topics? I think so, because what I hear from lecturers is that they say, when I get a question from students now, I can immediately show and it takes them much less time. So they do get to the point much faster by just showing.
Did you compare with more traditional stuff, say with not interactive videos or just interactive stuff, not in a video? Or?
Well, the thing that we're going to compare it with in the study now is we have a sort of set of animated slides. So it's not interactive, but it's animations that are used in lectures that were used previously. And then also we're doing another control group, another study. We are combining it with augmented reality. So we're doing a pilot for that right now. And then we're going to put these all together in one study that also does the same, approaches the same topic, but from another different angle.
Definitely not more traditional.
No, very, very playful. And so what we are finding is that students also really, of course, they like to understand better, but there's also something about the playfulness and that they see something really new and exciting that just gives so much positive emotions that we also see that just really helps in learning. So yeah, it's really hard to measure, I have to say. Yeah, we're not really.
I know. I've been involved in a user study with classes, and I know it is really difficult also to filter out any other influencing factors. So I agree with you, and we are looking forward to your next results. William is saying, that is wonderful, gamification is powerful. Okay, so let me check if there are questions on the other platform. No? Okay, so I guess we can thank our presenters. And Marco, I guess we wait. It was here.
I believe we can conclude this session. Remember that the poster are online and reachable through the agenda. I just linked the presentation video in the agenda, and this session is recorded and will be linked later on in the day to the main session of the poster. And the chat and the question and answer in the VUVA channel will be alive for the entire conference. So if later on you want to ask some question, and you can reach the authors through message and all the other means that the platform does offer. So thank you very much to everyone that participated in this session. It was a lively session and turned out very well. And we are ahead of the time, but it's a good news. So we can stop the morning now, and the next session will be 3 in the afternoon with the tutorials. So thank you again for attending, and
thank you very much. Bye.